here.
I'm sorry, what?
Your friend Andy Eichmann, he is gone.
Andy's gone? Gone where?
Gone and never found. No one knows. No one can find Andy. He just disappeared.
When?
No time. Please, I will send his package. Please accept. Please tell his family I am sorry. I am sorry. I am sorry.
Hello? Sorry about what? What happened? Hello? Hello? My name is Scott. I am an expat who has taught English in Japan for nearly 10 years. This is the flat I was living in when I first got the troubling call that my friend Andy from high school had gone missing while here on sabbatical working on one of his many New Age art projects. The nightmares started almost instantly after. A cryptic message from an unknown Japanese caller. 2 hours later, a package at my door, hand-delivered by someone in a strange mask. I get to the doorstep only in time to find a solitary box. My attention is now completely had. The contents of Andy's effects, sent completely on mysterious terms, must be opened immediately. To whomever opens this package, I'm sorry if you were the one to receive this. It means one or all of the following. Number 1, you know me or at some point have come across me in my travels in Japan. Number 2, I have either died or disappeared. Wow, that escalated quickly. Let's hope for better, I guess. Either way, I ask that you please, under no circumstances, try to find me or my body. Christ, Andy, what the hell did you get yourself into? Again, my apologies. My goal was merely to finish my video collection, not to cause anyone this much trouble. Do not waste time worrying or grieving for me or my fate. It is my choice and my path in life that has led me to where I am now, and I am asking that no one, family, friend, or loved one attempt to follow me here. I wish you good luck and a great life. To you all, love always, Andy. What the hell, Andy? Reading that letter, going through the package included, did nothing more than heap more mystery on and remove any answers or theories I previously had swirling in my head as to where Andy could be. Sorting through the contents of weird animal skins, dried carcasses, and aging Shinto and Sanskrit papers, I wondered just how far down the rabbit hole a simple art project could take someone like Andy. That's when I stumbled upon Andy's hand-me-down camera and all the bits and bytes its memory card held. This was also my very surreal and visual introduction to the type of art Andy had been researching and collecting, known as glitch art. My initial thoughts were dreamlike, then confusion, thought-provoking, trippy, psychedelic, and finally, nightmare fuel. But the analytical side of my brain stopped me cold. There was no point in being a subjective critic when I didn't even know a single thing about the media I was mesmerized by. With that, I realized it was time to go back to the world of reality. Work was in an hour, and I hadn't even eaten breakfast. Ritual and habit took hold, and my day went on as normal. Eat, read morning news, take the subway to downtown Namba.
次は北原田です。出口は右側です。The next station is 北原田。出口は右側です。The next station is 北原田。Station number M28。お客様にお願いします。座席はできるだけ譲り合っておかけください。なお、優先座席はお年寄りや体の不自由な方などにお譲りくださいますようご協力をお願いします。イオンモール堺北原田3階コンタクトレンズのアイシティ。駅からすぐお子様の歯の矯正は北原田。
Open our English school for the day, teach class, and finally, around break time, begin my first bit of research. The first and earliest signs of conventional art being distorted to create a new breakthrough first came in 1944 with Francis Bacon's 3 studies for figures at the base of a crucifixion. Following the 1971 suicide of Bacon's lover, George Dyer, his art became more distorted, more dark and nightmarishly surreal. Screaming popes, deformed alcoholics, and triptychs on death and passages of time. It was during this time that the ancient Japanese tradition of wabi-sabi was having its second renaissance, an art form that literally translates to the art of sorrow and imperfection. Both Eastern and Western artists around the 1950s were finding inspiration in the wabi-sabi essay by Junichiro Tanizaki, known as In Praise of Shadows. From artists like Lucy Rie and Hans Cooper, analog art made its slow and subtle transmutation to the digital stage. 1978 birthed the first media titled glitch art with Jamie Fenton's Digital TV Dinner. Audio glitch art soon followed by Len Lai and Japan's Eddie Watanabe by wire-bending sounds on the Bali video game console. These different mediums continued creating and eventually collabing until one of the first glitch art conventions were held in both Chicago and Osaka, Japan simultaneously. Known as the 5-Panel Glitch Con, this 10-day conference was held September 29th through October 3rd, 2010. It was during this convention that 3 of the most prolific glitch artists of modern day emerged to work on a collaborative masterpiece. Known from the start simply as the Song of Dreams, this massive collaborative piece would be guided by the video editing genius of Mariana DeFore, a half-Japanese woman from Tokyo, aka the mother of surgery, for her ability to cut, merge, fuse, and surgically change video, film, and data mosh VHS tapes into works of art. Next was Kudaro Tanimura, aka Mr. Burnout, was a salaryman in Japan who was glamorized for quitting the common Japanese work cycle of brutal 12-hour office workday to pursue his dreams of becoming a photographer who specialized in photo manipulation and glitch effects, only achieved by making his own custom mods to his digital cameras. The alias of Mr. Burnout is in reference to his disdain for the Japanese corporate mechanism and how it's known to literally work people to death, as it almost did to Tanimura before his photography allowed him to escape. Last was the most elusive and nebulous character of all, the erudite dreamer. The man, the legend, he was known for his incredible ability to make binaural music as well as ASMR sound samples to create audio files that would psychologically engage listeners and viewers of the video's sound. Mariana, mother of surgery, and Kudaro, Mr. Burnout, were confirmed to have died from stress-related illness while working on their three-person collab. The erudite dreamer was also listed as deceased, but technically had gone missing. His whereabouts and body were never found, and after a half-decade passed with no luck in finding him, his family had him listed as deceased to allow his struggling family members to receive the financial aid his passing would grant the next of kin. Looking deeper into Andy's notes, logs, and diaries, it appeared it was these three specific artists that he was not only obsessed with, but also in a desperate mission to retrieve their incomplete works, to not just finish them, but merge them into the final work they were meant to be. How far along on this endeavor he had journeyed was the most integral mystery to this entire disappearance. Common sense dictated that the best route for a search of Andy's whereabouts was to systematically trace his exploration of the last known locations for each of these three glitch artists, and wherever they had been working on or stored their glitch art projects. With that plan hatched, I decided I would simply follow the listing of each artist in the order I had researched. That made the first artist on the list the mother of surgery. A simple deep web flesh search gave me a location faster than a drug order on Silk Road. From there, I was simply able to trace her last known place of residence via a Google search and a large group of low-rent flats located in the bohemian and saturated art area of Osaka's north side slums known as Dobutsu-en-mai, or translated Zoofront City. Weaving between the urban decay and sheet metal meth dens, I came to a remotely squared-off building ironically called Urban Dome Complex, a series of isolated warehouses refurbished to fit the creative studio needs and faux wealth semblance of the rich in concept but poor in technical skill, as most of these artists who inhabit them were. Thinking I would find islands of garbage with shipwrecked hippies shouting to each other in the language of vandals, I was surprised to find such a stark, white, sterile contrast in the halls of Urban Dome. They could be likened to photo reels, negatives with all the colors reversed. The mother of surgery's squat was another story altogether. In a paper white roll hallway, Mother's loft was little more than dried, crumbled balls of paper ripped from that roll and tossed into an apartment. The residents of Urban Dome held so much apathy for it that the door had been left wide open to the place. Filling the role of both usher and investigator, I invited myself in and went to work without so much as a nosy nose or a peeking set of peepers attempting to nab crumbs of info on the bright white expat who stood out like an ivory splinter in a sea of yellow skin. Even more so when breaking and entering, although to be fair, I hadn't broken anything to get in, and if I had, no one would notice anything broken, as broken was a blanket definition that would cover this whole apartment. Upon further investigation and manic journaling by the late, great Mariana de Foray, aka Mother of Surgery, I found she had received her moniker through a darker past than listed in the background section of her Wikipedia page. The failure to correctly be informed by the gray area info of Wiki wasn't a surprise. The surprise was the fact that the name of Mother of Surgery had become her title after her obsession for plastic surgery and nip-tuck reached an almost manic level. A famous artist living in poverty, Mariana had spent every last dime on her OCD for facelifts, so much so that even the most unorthodox and envelope-pushing doctors began to refuse her surgery. But that didn't stop Miss Surgery. No, the woman who was known for making films and video art more aesthetically pleasing with her snips and cuts of celluloid, decided she could do the same to her own body. If you've ever seen a botched plastic surgery and thought, wow, this person had a box cutter facelift, well, Mother would be the poster child for that. A collapsed septum, a caved-in bridge, lips filled with cooking oil when collagen ran out. Once an average-looking half-Japanese woman, she had reached the above-average playing field via cosmetic surgery, then somehow managed to backpedal right past ugly and deformed and violently crashed into the realm of morbidly grotesque. At which point she took her title of Mother of Surgery. She fully began using it all the time and began saying she was a human glitch, a work of art herself. In her last days alive, she was seen wearing a strange operatic mask with see-through LED lights for the eyes. She called this her tatamae, or outside face, saying she absolutely needed to wear it to interact with Japan's public, who couldn't see the true beauty of her personal glitch art. This was in reference to her scar-caked visage. This led to all her investors and funding fans to reel back both in horror and in capital, leaving the Mother of Surgery a wrecked shell of a woman who was found dead from vivisecting her very own chest cavity in a last attempt to make her own personal glitches to her body. It was this deep sense of nihilism and self-immolation that hung over the entire apartment while I was there. A heavy darkness that felt both ethereal and incarnate, as if Mariana was a sadness trapped in the very walls of the abandoned abode, and filled the very fissures with a heavy shadow. All that had been done here was tainted by self-harm and perversion of an artistic inspiration. The pinnacle of this harrowing search of Mariana's slum house was reached when I found the SD card she had been editing her last project on. I was hopeful this would raise a clue as to Andy's whereabouts, but before I could indulge my wishful thinking, the dark presence in the flat made one final surge to make its presence known.
That's creepy. Now it's time to go.
The circuit breakers were flipped by an unknown enemy, and I was swallowed by the dark ambience on an intolerable level, so much so that I grabbed the few odds and ends I had sorted through and the SD card and made my exit known to the presence. The mother of surgery may have suffered a horrible fate, but for me, I had done my best to write a happy ending by retrieving the last bit of glitch art video she had been working on for the Song of Dreams, the collab project her and her two other artist friends had been making. What followed was digital carnage, filtered through a damaged mind, the ineffable torment Mariana had been in mentally, and the last stages of her life were expressed through twisting imagery, layered over optical mutations that feverishly worked to trick the mind of the viewer. Faces pulsated and exploded, static images suddenly burst into colorful explosions that mimicked blood splatter and waves of pixelated vomit. Glimpses of the mother of surgery could be seen, interspliced throughout the video, showing her mutilated face and ethos, as well as her pathetic attempts to hide it behind her porcelain baby doll mask with digital light inserts. As the video reached its crescendo, I felt the urge to cut the cord, but was taken aback by a second masked figure. Finally able to glean a clue, I find myself mentally matching the second masked figure to the mask I had seen Andy wear in his performance pieces that he had posted on his very own social network profile in the past. This would be the first of two big clues to Andy's whereabouts. The second one showed him holding up an envelope, a name and an address, pointing at it as though he had found some sort of priceless treasure. Treasure or curse, it could be argued either way. That would be for later. With a quick punch of the pause button, I grabbed my notes and began copying the name and address at the same pace as an apathetic doctor signing off an addicted patient's prescription papers. The name read Kudato Tanimura. The address, his last known studio. This would be my next destination. I decided to do more than just a flesh search this time, and paid a few bitcoins to a well-respected cyber sleuth / hacker who would be able to both dig up and expedite every iota of Kudato before I made the same mistake I did with the mother of surgery. I am an atheist, and I do not believe in any god or spirits or demons or ghosts. That said, I realize there are aspects of this world, and possibly others, that I do not fully grasp nor understand. That means that even if I do not subscribe to Christianity, Buddhism, or Shinto devils and demons, I also do not wish to tempt fate just to prove how right or wrong my philosophical beliefs are. On top of that, if there are talismans or Japanese votives I can have on my person that have a tradition of warding off evil, then I will make sure to be safe rather than sorry. Just in the same way you would get your proper shots to travel to a new country, you don't get them because you are 100% certain that you will get sick, or even because you are a casual hypochondriac. You do it for the same reason you would decline an offer to play Russian roulette. Having the possibility to live a safe life is always better than the possibility of having an unnecessary death. With all this in mind, I made a quick visit to my local shrine after work and packed a talisman from a Shitanoji temple that was fused with monks' invocations of protection from dark spirits. Not that I was already accusing Kudato of becoming some sort of evil haunt, but again, if given the chance to play Russian roulette, my answer will always be no. Bags checked, camera ready, talisman armed, I was on my way. My expectations were the same as they had been for Mariana, a secluded recluse who had died in a filthy, scum-drenched abode, all while drowning in a sea of her own misery. To my surprise, reading the report my online PI had put together while on the train, I realized I had judged Kudato completely wrong. Backlogs on news stories and obituaries surrounding his demise taught me that he had been a family man. He had been forced to take the traditional Japanese male role of first becoming a salaryman. It had been a comfortable setting for him in his house with his wife and child of 3, but life didn't truly become great until he began making enough from his photography hobby to make it his full-time job. From there, Kudaro's lifestyle made a steady climb to the top of his genre and motives. He had moved his family on to an ultra-expensive, upper-class 4LDK in the wealthiest part of downtown Osaka. Life was perfect, all except for the fact that Kudaro had become Mr. Burnout again. Having climbed to the top of his medium, he decided to take a sharp left turn down the really explored alley of glitch art. At first, his benefactors loved it, amazed by Kudaro's camera modifications in avant-garde style. The crowd of self-proclaimed connoisseurs were practically throwing their wallets at him. But Kudaro wanted more. The money wasn't a goal anymore. Fame and the praise of being internationally known was his new gold medal. Unfortunately, Kudaro decided to claim the gold by going the route of controversy. He searched the world over for the darkest, most morose and macabre subjects, settings, and situations that he could. His new works attempted to encapsulate human suffering, despair, and wanton violence on a level that would provoke a sense of hopelessness in even the most rabid fan. The more he obsessed over these morbid works, the more galleries began to turn away his pieces, labeling them too graphic for the public, at which point his funding began to slowly dry up. His investors dwindled to nil, and his loyal wife, who had stayed out of his affairs and his artwork and merely been an accessory on his arm, now pleaded with him to return to a life of being a simple salaryman, just so they could avoid losing everything they had worked so very hard for. With great regret and a heavy heart, Kudaro became Mr. Burnout once again, working 12 hours a day like he had in the past. Meanwhile, swearing to discontinue his work on the disturbing subjects he had gone after before. At best, things balanced out for just a while, but it wasn't long before Kudaro was missing work and sneaking out on secret missions to collect more urban noir photography, as he called it. Unbeknownst to his job and his wife, he had been asked by the mother of surgery and the erudite dreamer to add his dark, glitched images to their collab, Song of Dreams. This gave him a great sense of meaning to his currently desperate life, as he felt his hard work had finally found a home in the Song of Dreams. Finally, a collab for all of his travels, his shots, and his glitch art had not been in vain. After Kudaro got this dirty little secret project out of the way, maybe then he could simply live life again, maybe even get back into photography. But alas, fate had different plans for Mr. Burnout, and after one late night at work, his world came crashing down around him. It all started with a simple goof of leaving a thumb drive that had a portion of the Song of Dreams that Kudaro was working on saved to memory. A snooping superior decided to see what the once famous salaryman had been up to in his off time. Popping the drive into his laptop on a break led the superior to find far more than he had bargained for. Human trafficking, child prostitution, gore porn, vor sites, deep web red rooms, animal sacrifices, amputation fetishes, snuff flicks, the gambit of unnatural horrors, and beyond. Kudaro was promptly fired and even faced criminal prosecution for lewd and lascivious material. And when Japan steps in to tell you your media collection has gone too far, that's when not just your career ends, but so does every aspect of your life. Now a pariah in all facets of his life, Mr. Burnout had truly earned his title. In fact, he completely embraced it, for when he came home, he found his wife had decided to view the work that had cost him his job, at which point she proceeded to strangle their child and cut her own wrists. Kudaro came home to a dead family and a suicide note that in short said, "Truly, I have married a disgrace. Our family has completely lost face. Let this world erase and forget us." And so, the final page of Kudaro's life was written. He followed his wife and child in death by lighting himself on fire, in complying with his wife's wishes to completely erase their family, as well as adding even more emphasis to the title of Mr. Burnout. Yes, the final page of his life, but now it was time to write the first page post-mortem by searching for my missing friend in this so-called Song of Dreams, a project that was looking less like art and more like a kiss of death. Aside from a scorch mark that showed Kudaro's last few minutes of life, the apartment had barely been touched. Unbeknownst to those outside of Japan, apartments that had been leased by tenants who committed suicide had to have that information included in the real estate ad for the next 8 years, even if they were blessed by a Buddhist monk or a Shinto priest. Add on the fact that while few Japanese will admit it, there is a nationwide belief that a suicide event in any apartment curses it with the dark spirits of those who died, spreading their agony to the new tenants. This, of course, made it extremely easy to pretend to be a dumb gaijin who is unaware of Japanese tradition, nor can read the warnings printed in kanji for those interested in renting and seeing the apartment. The landlord was so happy to have someone show interest in renting Kudaro's old apartment that he gave me full reign to grab the keys in the now unused post box and check it out any time of the day or week. Fibbing about a rental felt less immoral than just leaving Andy's whereabouts unsolved, so I forged ahead. In minutes, I was sleuthing around Mr. Burnout's old digs. Stepping around the scorched floorboards out of respect, I headed to the shelving unit, which held a vast collection of footage, photos, digital photography, albums, and a strong sense of Kudaro's family and their eternal sadness. The hallmarks of a once bubbling household had been irreparably damaged, and the then grafted over with the crushing silence of premature death. Before, in the den of the mother of surgery, I felt a presence yet saw nothing. I dealt with little more than a power outage as well, but this time I felt more than shady vibes. I could have sworn I saw something or some things as well. It began with the laughter of a small child, followed by the pitter-patter of incorporeal footsteps. A mother calling to her child with a hint of depression in the tone. Dim, opaque shadows of elusive figures strove through the corners and curtains, appearing and disappearing at random without purpose or cause. I felt like an audience member stumbling through a looping stage play. Ignored by the actors until I finally made myself known by interfering with the props of their set. Suddenly I went from ignored audience to main antagonist, center stage. Here I thought I'd have all day to pursue Mr. Burnout's collections, to find the last clue I needed on Andy, and even if it was just for a glimpse of him showing up in the next set of Song of Dream files, cards, CDs, whatever. But no matter how much I tried to push the haunting visual and audio entities I had experienced out of my head, I could bear the gravity of this haunt no more. I began to feel a tiny set of hands grab at my ankles. I searched wildly. It was then that I made the mistake of looking down and seeing Kudaro's masked child staring up at me. I stifled a scream so as not to alert neighbors or the landlord, but when I fought free of the grasp, I was only met by a greater horror as Mr. Burnout himself stood there, masked, just like his son. Rather than being discreet by simply taking the one set of files I came for, I toppled the stacks of DVDs and CDs into my shoulder bag and I made my escape. All the while, sets of adult and child grips attempted to tumble me like vines in an overgrown forest. Each time the hands of the dead made contact, I felt my skin burn, just as Kudaro must have when he set his own body ablaze. Took me over. The rush home was a near blackout event in my stored memories. I collapsed from exhaustion the second I returned and did not wake for nearly 12 hours. During that time, my sleep was likened to a coma, my dreams a lucid nightmare, the imagery as dark and glitched as what I had seen in both sets of videos I had recovered. The world around me was a winding maze. Like studios, apartments, and houses of any and all who had laid hands on the Song of Dreams. A meandering set of morphing hallways, changing at random to the thresholds of unstable realms and rooms. My constant motivation in all of these settings was collecting infinite reels of film, data, audio files, image files, and countless tapes, VHSs, CDs, DVDs, with chopped, data mashed, glitched, compacted artifacts, pitch-shifted, sound-degraded, crumbling, roaring, and shattering in every which way. All this while being pursued by the lives and deaths, bulldozed and destroyed by the apparatus, the forge, the curse, and the media known as the Song of Dreams. How many had this grimoire diabolique crushed in its apathetic gears while turning video of lo-fi videotape like an oily black reel made to look like viscous taffy folded over the heads of long-dead tech with luminescence and grayscale saturation. Glitch artists making pathetic attempts to embed their likeness on all forms of media while trying to ignore a world of entropy and decay. The screeching of celluloid projects fading into the throttled-in bit-crush whine of 100 forgotten audio recordings, all from artists desperate to be seen and heard so much so that they would ask their very own screams to join the choir of mechanical decay, reaching a fever pitch that forcefully thrust me back into the harsh world of the waking and the living. What seemed like years of searching the dream world was mere hours in my own. I had missed every phone call, email, message, in a full day by the time my eyes opened again. I was a wreck, and it showed in every line in my face. A simple case of a friend I thought was merely a feather-brained artist idiot who was too flaky to call home and let everyone know he had been too lost in his work had become a journey into madness. I wanted it to end. It had to end. I swore to pour through the last chunk of videos I had scavenged from Kudato's house of tragedy and marathon it from the top stack of CDs and DVDs and files down to the very bottom until I was able to digest every last bit of info on where this project had spirited Andy away. And so it began, that night, fresh out of recovering from my nightmare coma, a 24-hour-long nauseating dive back into the subhuman underworld, Mr. Burnout's self-titled dark glitch section of the Song of Dreams, woven distinctly into the patchwork of other genre-bending material he had recorded with the Mother of Surgery. In their own sick and twisted way, their styles complemented each other in all things depraved and fringe. Comparably, one could call it a contemporary Marquis de Sade work, reaching past the boundaries of even those seeking such a look into the void, like a modern 120 Days of Sodom. My eyes burned and teared up. My nostrils flared and filled with the scent of melting machinery in Kudato's burnt flesh that had marinated and smoked into his video bundle. I reached near vomitous zeniths through the hills and valleys of gore, violence, deviance, and images I have no words for. My body did not allow a reprieve or purging, yet I pushed on. Deeper and deeper I went, falling, flailing, screaming silently as I plummeted down a pit I was sure was bottomless and without end. At one point, I began questioning the location and environments, whether false or faked, and if they could even be of our own mortal realm. I went from being pushed to pulled into a dimension beyond my own. My new world was purely optical and audio. The rest was sensory deprivation. Finally, as I began to nod in and out of another catatonic state, this time reaching one that felt undoubtedly it would lead me free-falling into oblivion, never to wake again. That familiar ring. Shocked just enough to reach for the call, I grabbed my phone with a shaking hand. Hello? The wait seemed eternal. Then, the voice.
Hello, Scott.
Like the rattle of rain on tin.
Scott, do you know who this is?
No.
Yes, you do. I need your help, Scott. Bring me your half of the Song of Dreams.
Bring you my half of the Song of Dreams? Why? Who are you even?
I understand your confusion. Your mind is tortured. Your thoughts a blur. You have traveled a dark road to get to this point.
You don't know anything about me. Who is this?
Let me make it worth your effort. Return the discs and info to me, and I will show you Andy. As for who I am, you already know. I am the Dreamer.
The Dreamer? Erudite Dreamer? Whatever you're called, you're going to show me Andy. You're not just going to show him to me, you're going to hand him over.
Scott, people are not mine to give or take. But I will promise you this. If Andy wishes to leave with you, of his own will, I will not stop him.
None of this sounds right.
None of this sounds right. But you have no other options. I have already messaged the address to you, and I await your arrival.
Hello? Hello? Almost as soon as I hung up, an address popped up on my phone via SMS. Without hesitation, I packed and left. I'll admit, I was not 100% sure of anything I was told by the final mysterious caller, but no matter what, I was going to see this through till the end. The directions to my final encounter with the whereabouts of the erudite dreamer who the caller claimed to be, as well as Andy, started out just the same as the last two. It wasn't until I walked a good 4 miles from where the train and taxi had dropped me off, I found the address in my GPS leading me to a series of underground tunnels that seemed to wind deeper and deeper beneath Osaka City, leading me to a location I was positive no one knew existed. As I reached the final corridor of my descent, I began hearing the walls of this underground complex begin to throb with reverberations. Finally, I came to the final door that had the simple sign reading, "The White Room." The White Room is a well-known urban legend in Japan about a group of 3 artists who lived together in a white studio they built underground, specifically to live shut off from the outside world. Their plan was to disconnect themselves like Japan's famous hikikomoris, aka hermits, recluses, shut-ins, with the belief that this would stop their art from being influenced by the hectic media and modern world outside. Their quote to the press covering their unconventional style was, instead of having their art show the perfection and beauty of this world, they wanted to expose flaws and cracks in the facade of humanity. Instead of creating art that reflected life, they wanted to create the opposite, art that reflected imminent death. That was their first and last press contact. After that, they shut out the media and only allowed followers who wanted to become true quote-unquote artists to join the White Room compound. The instructions to do so were simple. Step 1, mail a letter addressed with nothing but the words White Room written on it. Step 2, in 3 to 4 business days, you will receive a plain white package with no return address. Inside would be just 3 things: a plain white cloth, a plain white mask, and a set of coordinates you may enter into a GPS to find the White Room. Step 3, wearing only your white cloth like a toga or a robe, find your way to the compound. Do not bring a suitcase, duffel bag, change of clothes, or any personal articles, aside from the 3 things in your white package. Step 4. Before attempting to enter the vicinity of the White Room, one needed to don these 2 wearable items. Knock 3 times and wait for an invitation to enter. Japan, being the wonderfully polite and rule-bound society it is, these traditional rules had never been broken until today. The day an unpredictable foreigner bent on finding a long-lost friend simply opened the white symbolic door and wandered in to meet the head of the White Room face to face. I brought no weapon, but I expected an ambush. I had no plan, but I expected to succeed. I expected to find the erudite dreamer. Instead, I found Andy?
Of course. Don't tell me you couldn't put the puzzle together.
The puzzle?
Your friend goes missing while working on an art project. 2 of the 3 people involved in the project are confirmed dead. The last one, dead or
Missing. God damn it, I'm an idiot. So now what? Is this where all the cameras are revealed and everyone laughs at how well you punked me?
No, Scott, you're being so sensitive. No one is laughing. We have been here cheering you on the whole time. For years we have been searching for where and how to get the 2 sections of the Song of Dreams we were still missing, and you go and do it all in 48 hours. Bravo!
We? Who is we? Why would you cheer me on for finding evidence of this shit show?
We are the White Room. You already know the urban legend, Scott. Now learn about its urban reality. Learn about how you can join us. Help us. Be part of us.
Why the hell would I want to join this collective madness or contribute to this insane brainwashing art project?
It's not brainwashing, it's a unity. An art project that can bond and unify all of humanity. Instead of hate, instead of war, instead of bigotry, instead of politics, people will join because of this art and its hypnotizing properties. The world unified by the visual and audio song of our dreams for peace and harmony.
Except that dream of peace and harmony has destroyed lives. God damn it, Andy, I just watched 2 people immolate and mutilate themselves on the last 2 tapes of these goddamn videos.
Well, Scott, you can't spell revolution without the word evolution. Think of their deaths as artistic Darwinism. They simply were not strong enough to peer upon its beauty. But alas, they died contributing to its creation, so they did not perish in vain.
This is fucking nonsense. Art that kills people or drives them so insane they start wearing masks like you?
Oh, you noticed my mask? Yes, it's true, I too was weak. And my first view of the Song of Dreams might have caused me to peel most of my face off. But alas, I survived. I survived and I was born again as the erudite dreamer. The White Room found me, helped me, let me regain my semblance by grafting my skin to this mask and making me whole again. I was born again so I, the erudite dreamer, could summon you, Scott, to join our cause.
Why me? I'm not even an artist.
No, you are even better. You are the first person to watch this much of the Song of Dreams without a single self-harming injury. You are the most perfect representative of the Song of Dreams the White Room has ever found. The perfect missionary, the perfect disciple, and that's why you, Scott, that's why you are here. You have been chosen as the next in a line of thousands of creators who have been chosen to follow in the footsteps of the magnificent mother of surgery and the brilliance of Kudaro, Mr.
It's not fucking the mother of surgery. It's not any of the people who've been dead from working on this goddamn project. You're the last person alive. You're the last person making this project still exist. This project needs to end, and so do you.
This is the part where I humble brag about rescuing my friend, Andy, from an evil cult. But life isn't made of fantasies and bullshit. Life is harsh and life is unforgiving. Had I killed Andy? Who knows? I can only say I left him a bloody, wheezing mess. The friend I had gone to find was no longer there. In his place had been a masked freak obsessed with some sort of hypnotic art project that I now knew had been passed around to thousands of artists around the world. This was the catalyst that shifted my paradigm from saving a friend to destroying one of the Song of Dreams' main creators and the head of Osaka's White Room artist cult. I thought this would bookend my story of insanity. But now, I knew I had merely just opened the cover to the table of contents and crossed only Andy's name, the erudite dreamer, off the list. Before leaving the White Room to burn, along with all the files I had collected, I made sure to secure profiles on every last member of the White Room cult and all the Song of Dreams project creators. If there was one thing I could say that I took away from this experience, it was the fact that my life had a new and very profound purpose. Hunt down and eradicate every last trace of the Song of Dreams from this world and beyond. This is my story.
Hello, Scott. If you're watching this, it means you have followed through with more violence, gore, and video that we are able to add perfectly to the collab you know so well as the Song of Dreams. Truly, this great work of art will serve as our battle hymn as we forge ahead into the dark utopia we have planned. We are all flawed humans in a constantly glitching world, but the unrelenting rage and focus you have put into hunting down and killing our artists has given us hope here at the White Room that we will one day have enough real life, horror, and death. All thanks to you, Scott, to finally complete the Song of Dreams.
Nothing at all. She was when she was, darkly.
We won, we three, and all the world succumbed me.
Crawls across my back, crawl across the sky. We won, we three, and all the sky does suckle me.